gorgeous, it's Marianne from Thrive Admin Services. In this video I'm going to be sharing one of the functions or formulas that I use in Excel quite a lot when I'm dealing with lots of data, and that is the text split formula. What it helps you do is to take large groups of text that are all in one cell and break them out across columns or rows so that you don't have to do it manually. It's a huge time saver. It's brilliant if you're trying to bring in information and then be able to sort and manage it in a much more usable form for you to move into something else. So let's have a look. Okay, so the text split function allows me to take text that's all been grouped into a single cell and split it out in a way that I decide I need to keep it. So I've put together an example here. We've got these particular cells are a first name and a last name, simply separated by a space, the same way it would be if you just written it straight in yourself. And then this one is a first name and last name with a comma and then what would be an address. Now I'm not putting any particular address in so that it doesn't look like there's actual information in there that YouTube or any of the streaming platforms would consider a breach of confidentiality or privacy. So what I want is to take all of these cells here, and I would like to split it out so that I have, instead of Joe Blogs, I have Joe and Blogs, because sometimes I might need the first name, sometimes I might want it to be Mr. Blogs or Ms. Smith, etc. So in this instance, because there are only 11 of those in that format, I could go in and manually type them. But if I had pulled this from some other kind of registration form list or from my database and I had hundreds or thousands of emails or cells of information that have all been clumped together, I need to find a quicker way to do it. My time is much better spent not faffing about with this. I want to do it quite quickly. So the text split function is quite useful for that. And in this instance, we're going to do it in two ways. I'm going to show you how we break it down based on a space to break up, say, a first name and a last name. And then I'm going to show you over here in these columns, we're going to do this one with Sarah Smith, and I'm going to have Sarah Smith, and I'm going to have test address over here. So we'll use the same formula with a couple of tweaks so you can see some variations on it. So to start with, as I said, this is called the text split function. So we're going to be working with the formula. Now there are a couple of ways you can start a formula. You can hit equals while you're in the cell, or you can hit the FX button up here, which is in your formula bar. So I'm going to do it this way, and it automatically puts the equals in, and then it's going to show me all of my recent formulas. It'll show me my top 10 most recent. But if you don't have that there, you can see it's there for me because I've used it before. But if I was to type in text, it's going to show me the ones I use. These are all of them. And then these are the text, the ones that have the word text in them. So we're going to do a text split. We go insert function, and you can see up here and in the cell, it has started to build the formula for me. The formula builder opens up on the right hand side here, and it shows me each of the sections or each of the pieces of information that I need to put together in a string to make this formula work. And the best way to do this is to just work from the top and work your way down. So you can see there's some descriptions down the bottom here that show you how you can work with this as well. So the text is, what do we want to split? Obviously we need to tell it first of all, what are we working with as our whole version? And for us in this instance, it's going to be cell A2. So you can see that's popped A2 in there. You can also just type in A2 if you're looking at it. So this is your column delimiter. So this is telling the formula, how do we tell the formula when to split the text? Now you can put a space, a comma, a full stop, a dash, an underscore, whatever it is that is separating your text. Quite often it will be either a space or a comma, but it's, it can vary depending on the system you've brought it from. So for this particular one, we know that it is a space, and you can see it's written that there as just an ellipsis, and you'll see the final formula at the end will explain it for us. The row delimiter, so if we were splitting between rows, so I'm just going to pop a space in as well for that. You can see now we've got our quotation marks, space, quotation marks. And the same for our row delimiter, and you can see it's appearing up here and it's appearing as we build this formula. Now ignore empty. So this is whether or not to ignore empty cells. Now in our examples here, we don't have any, but if you did, you can choose, it's defaulted to false. So you'll get a reference error message if you have an empty cell. I'm going to say true because we don't have any. And match mode is whether it searches the text for a delimiter match. So by default, it's looking for a case sensitive match, but I don't ever put anything in there. So you can see at the bottom, as we've worked our way through, the text is Joe Blogs in cell A2. In this column here, it's saying that the result will be Joe, which is what we want. We want the first name in that column. So if we go done, you can see what it's done is it's split this and it's gone the first column gets Joe, the second column gets blogs. All right, and that's only applied. You can see it by default, it's got a little extension line because the formula is really only applied to B2, but by default, it actually runs across the two. So if I now highlight both of these and I drag, so we highlight it and then your little cursor turns to a cross in the bottom right-hand corner. Come on, there we go. And I can drag it down and that's going to do the same for all of my data. All right, so that's a really quick way to do that. The other thing I want to show you is how we do it with where we've got two blocks of text. So here we were separating by space, and here I want to actually separate by a comma. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go insert function. The text is this one. Now the delimiter in this instance is actually going to be a comma, and I'll do the same. So you can see here it's showing the result will be Sarah Smith in here, which is correct. So I don't need to put anything there if I don't want to, but I can put that there. It's not going to change anything. Ignore empty, I'll say true again, and we don't do anything for match mode. And you can see what it's done there if I just expand these out a little bit because they're a bit bigger. I've taken Sarah Smith test address. It's allowed this to sit all in one cell even with the space because it's only splitting them where the comma sits. And that is your text split. So I hope that that was something that you may find quite useful. As I said, it's an excellent way if you have got an email list or some registration information from a webinar or an event, or if you've worked with working with a client and they've got a large dump of information about students or clients or customers that comes in a form that isn't really ideal for how you want to be able to move it into a new system, or how you want to be able to manage and interrogate it in Excel. So I hope that was really handy. There will be more of these videos floating around on my channel on all of the different formulas that can help you really get the most out of Excel and be able to bend and manipulate the data in a format that's going to work for you. If you are interested in finding out more about working with Excel and the other tools within your Microsoft 365 subscription, then please check out Microsoft Dynamos, my free Facebook group. It's a great place to find out how other people are using Microsoft 365 and to also ask questions so that I can help you there. Alternatively, you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or on Pinterest, where I share loads more tips and tricks just like this. Thank you.